We are live. This is the market update. Bitcoin is going to 33K, ETH is going to 3,000, and Cardano is going to be at $3 in January of 2024. Want to see the charts? Stay right here. If you need a roadmap in crypto, subscribe to this channel. Turn on alerts so you know when we're going live, and if the content works for you, hit the like button. Okay, I'm your host, Bill Noble. I'm going to welcome who's coming in on the stream. We have Bull Runner is here first. Richard Barry from Augusta. Samad, let's go. Okay, $menu.eth is here. AZ, welcome. GF from Hamilton, Ontario. Right? Crypto at 2 a.m. is back and happy to be here. Welcome. Right? Rugby Performance Lab, a quick hello before practice. Bill for world president, not just the U.S. presidency, world president. Like that. Sounds like something from the Avengers. Okay. Shizzy says, Bill, you're the reason I made it through the bear market. I appreciate that. I'm glad I was able to help you. It's the sheepdog army. Amsterdam is ready. Can I do Fantom? Yes, we'll try to do that early because it is undoubtedly late there. JP Stanley in the house. Got out in May, got back in a few weeks ago. Rave Song Records. Croatia in the house. North Carolina, Caleb. K9 Crypto. Aiken with the notorious love. Appreciate that. All right. Jappy Finland, Mr. Warehouse. Welcome. Top Semper Fidelis. Reginald, Robert, Marco. Right. We have Abdul from the UK. Hammertown represents. Samad, hi. Estonia is in the house. Marco. Okay. Big Rich made some money in Amplify. Excellent. Excellent. And D is here from Indiana. Busting into the news. Gross domestic product, or GDP, for the fourth quarter of last year increased at an annual rate of 2.9%. In other words, it's not a recession. At least not according to the statistics. It's only a recession according to the people who are getting laid off from Silicon Valley companies who have credit cards, mortgages, and car payments. Thank you very much, Mr. Powell. So there is no sign of a recession yet. Stonks are up on that today big. This is a very bullish period for stocks. And I think that's going to translate over into crypto. It is constructive for risk assets. And the case for Satoshi's vision has never been better. Former president's NFT sales spike 158% as he returns to Facebook, Instagram, and probably Twitter. You know what? Here's an idea. How about everybody gets to say what they want to say? Seriously. And this individual can make a major comeback if he gets back on these platforms and doesn't say stupid things. I don't care whether he does it or the markets do it or we do it as citizens. The stupidity that we've seen, our energy policies, whatever they've told us about, certain health supplements that you take via injections to fend off disease. The things that they've told us haven't exactly been wholly accurate. So, like this individual or not like this individual, it's time to push back. Speaking of pushing back, I think it's time to push back on ChatGPT disaster. ChatGPT could make these jobs obsolete. The wolf is at the door. So this is the New York Post, right? A fun newspaper in New York that is basically saying education, college professors, because ChatGPT can just give you a course as easily as this old guy. Okay. Finance. In other words, he used to pay to be a Python or an Excel jockey and, 2 or 3 years to work like robots doing Excel modeling. Literally, that's what kids would do at Wall Street. They would just sit in a room and do Excel all day. Not necessary anymore, according to the New York Post. Software engineering, so much for learning how to code. AI can do all that. If anything is believable, that is, right? In other words, using certain software products like, say, R for statistics is ridiculous that I would have to learn how to code in order to do statistics. You're telling me in order to be able to do statistics, which I learned, I have to go out and learn computer code? Please. Okay, so I don't think there's a substitute for good programming, but I'm glad that ChatGPT can reduce our reliance on code. Journalism. Wow, you mean artificial intelligence might actually stick to the facts? In other words, you could feed a set of information into ChatGPT and it will produce news. What do we need news people for? Well, we need news people for propaganda. Not. Right. It's very difficult for the American people to get the facts. Can't get the facts. So could AI give us the facts? I hope so. Now, do I subscribe to the idea that graphic design could be hurt? Graphic design, if you're an entrepreneur and you don't know how to do it, you may not have to pay somebody to do it because you've got AI. But AI could also enhance the future of art, right? In other words, if AI does graphic design, there could become a very unique market, I guess, for AI art, but also for human art. Because after all, if AI is going to generate art, it's going to need to learn from something. So it could actually create a larger market for human-generated art. In other words, you might be able to say, oh, wow, was that painted by a person? Like books. Like AI can write news, but somebody who has a lot of imagination, their books may wind up doing well. Content and entertainment, I hope they survive. I'm personally betting on it. Tesla did not buy or sell any Bitcoin in the fourth quarter, and Tesla stock is up a lot today because basically, like everything else, they pounded it into sand. Elon just let it adjust, which was kind of brilliant. He didn't try to stop the market or try to fight the market. He just let it adjust, and now he'll do cost cutting or he'll come up with a crypto stunt later. I still think Elon's got one up his sleeve when it comes to crypto. Interesting that everybody is looking at Tesla's earnings for activity on Bitcoin. I'm sure that's not going unnoticed at Tesla. Okay, Bed Bath & Beyond says it triggered an event of default, can't pay what it owes. You know, isn't it amazing? I mean, I know this is like a big stock and stuff like that, but, you know, it's amazing how disaster continues to sell. It's just, I mean, fear always sells in general, but basically, I'm not looking for an end to bad news, but I do have an example. Like I looked at this and I'm like, wow, you know, is this what Barron's has got to write about? I mean, I guess it is if they cover the retail sector, but look at this on my TikTok. Like, look at this pinball machine. Austin housing crash done yesterday at 9 a.m. Discussed on the stream when it had 25K views. Did not do any promotion. Currently has 131,000 views, and I've got 2,000 followers. So I picked up 500 followers and 130,000 views on a story about a crash in housing off a report from Goldman. Meanwhile, BTFD, which stands for Buy the Blanking Dip, 869 views. Buy the dip, marginal interest. The next crash, the entire planet is tuning in. Now, I would like to thank the entire planet for tuning in. I appreciate that. But this is a sentiment indicator. This is a sentiment indicator. Because you know what? If this is resonating with people, maybe there really is actually some trouble out there. But if disaster sells better than buy the dip, it's going up. It may not go straight up, but there are going to be opportunities, and we're going to discuss that via live TA. Okay, Sleazy Minx is here. Wrong again. Hello. Okay. Jabberjaw, welcome. Nate K likes the TA. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Robert Wiley says Sculpture is going AI. SFG is here. Welcome. Kent. A lot of new people in today. Okay, Fantom. Right. Somebody is up way late at night looking for Fantom. Let me help you out. Okay, here comes FTM. We're basically going right to live TA today. God, look at this thing. God, we were talking about this being mental. There are catalysts in this thing. Okay, so we'll start with Fantom on hidden pivot analysis. So if you like live TA, today's your day because we're doing this on the fly. Okay, so Fantom busted through everything. I had a target of 45 cents, and they're waving their hands in the air like they just don't care. Let's go to DeMark in Fantom. By the way, MATIC has a 13 top, so you might want to think about rotating out of that. So in Fantom, you have what I think is a classic blow-off top. So it went through the levels that I was looking at. You have a 13 top here, and you've got this buying climax, which sometimes you get after, a warning signal like that. I think you got upside in Fantom to 52 cents. I don't necessarily want to fade it. If you've been hodling Fantom, please go right on hodling it. Okay, really. It's probably going to take out 50 cents before it comes off. It's starting to get emotional. This is the type of price action I actually expect throughout the entire market. Right? Somebody's asking about Aptos, so we're almost doing this. We're almost doing this in the reverse, going like right to requests. Okay. Okay, so let's try Aptos again. Like epic run up. I don't know, man. I don't think I would fade this. So if you do this, if you do the hidden pivot analysis this way, right, you have Aptos has support at $17. There's a lot of people trying to short this thing. And then $22 is the target. So back to Fantom, right? You have a 13 top there. If you're hodling it, even though it's a topping signal, make them force you out of it. There's a new theme for the market update. You're long, you got profits, you got trading profits, and maybe you take some. But if you're long stuff and you got trade location and you believe in it, you know what? Don't lose, play with the house's money. So if you're long and you made money, take some of it and let them force you out of the rest of it. In other words, it's an extension of what we've been talking about, which is come get me. Come get me. If short sellers continue to fight Aptos, it's going to 22. Seriously. Now, again, sometimes these things can get emotional. I understand that. And that's where I think like sector rotation can come into play. Okay. So I think if Fantom is above 48 cents, you got a shot at 52. My guess is in Fantom, the easy money has been made, but man, if it goes through 52, I don't know. I think there's another important point on Fantom. Just to like drive this point home about what can happen in crypto. because I don't want to get caught up in the minutia. You know, when they say when in doubt, zoom out. This is Fantom on a daily chart, right? So, yeah, this could be a little overdone on the upside, but maybe not. Maybe this is the bigger the base, the higher in the space. That's why I'm telling people, man, if you're hodling stuff, go with it. You know, sometimes it pays to rotate out if you get like a gigantic move. But the previous fourth, the start of the give up trade in Fantom pre-Celsius was $1.68. And guess where Fantom's going? Guess where all these coins are going? They're going to their previous fourth wave or the start of the give up trade. Just as a review, because it was a couple streams ago in Elliott Wave. Okay, you'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. The fourth part is the part right before the, oh my God, selling climax in a down move. It is totally logical in Elliott Wave theory to attack the top of the previous fourth wave. In other words, even if it's still a down market, normal corrective activity is back to the previous fourth wave. And as you can see, this thing was at $3, and this base is incredible, right? The bigger the base, the higher into space. So if you're doing tactical trading and you want to try to catch which altcoin's hot, you can take profits from one and move to the other. Bigger picture, don't get in the way of this thing. Just don't. I mean, profit taking, yes. You know, short sellers were after MATIC. We talked about this yesterday. MATIC up 10%. Boom. You know, probably upside to $1.38. Okay, Solana, it's dead. Everyone hates it, right? Okay, whatever. Solana does a 9 top, does some consolidating, and I think you're going to wind up with 7 or 8 more up candles before it's over in Solana. I shouldn't say over. I should say all is said and done. The previous fourth wave in Solana is at 48. When this thing started to go up, I said 48, and I know people thought I was out of my mind. Absolutely out of my mind. Here's the 4. There's the 4 for the previous fourth wave. They thought I was out of my mind. I mean, Solana is inside this vortex, right, where it went straight down. So all this thing is doing is building up steam to unwind the rest of it to like 35. Okay, RNDR. I can tell you right now, this is not going to stop either. I mean, RNDR on a weekly chart. That's what the weekly chart of RNDR looks like. I'm sorry, the daily chart. It's like, you're like, oh, wait a minute. It's totally overbought. I can't get involved in this. And then you do this. And it's like, oh my God, this thing is destroyed. It's destroyed. If you look at the weekly chart, it's like next week, it might pause. I don't think it's going to pause this week. Oh. Okay, not going to pause this week. 1, 2, 3. That's when DeMark, it goes 1 through 9 for the setup phase. Next week, you might get the dip. Look how this whole thing unwound. This metaverse thing is for real. South by Southwest in Austin, I'm going in March. They have an AR, VR exhibition that they're doing. You could have upside catalysts for the metaverse. It's only a 2-day thing, which in itself is an indicator, right? AR, VR is kind of like a side thing. So I would love to see some sort of catalyst come out of that. But the fact that, you know, South by Southwest is a 10-day festival and there doesn't seem to be a whole lot of crypto going on. Although it was cool when I registered that I could, when I registered my occupation, I could put crypto. That's cool. But I looked at South by Southwest and I was like, hey, you know, I'm hoping somebody makes some kind of announcement, but if they don't, if they make an announcement, it's bullish. If they don't make an announcement or nothing happens, it's bullish. People have given up on this right as it's turning. right as it's turning. Oh, yes, I know the bear market smoked everybody and nobody's got any money. I understand that. Okay, Audius. Okay, Audius heading for resistance at 39 cents. Probably not going to see a correction until after it hits 39 cents. Next week is probably the corrective week, I'm guessing. So this week, you begin to ask yourself, did I make money in a trade? If so, yes. Can I take it and deploy it somewhere else? Phoenix made it to the live show. Welcome. Okay. Let me see. Somebody's asking for weight. Okay, I'll have to look at that. That's Matt's. Let me see if he's talking crypto or equities. All right, I will try to come back to that. Let me go to what I was going to do today in Bitcoin and ETH. So let's talk about GAN. Let's talk about where Bitcoin and ETH are going to be at the end of March or in April. So let's take all this off and talk about it. When you do GAN work, one of the things you want to do is you want to start by finding a key point. So this is the Bitcoin weekly chart. All right. And when you do GAN work, you want to say, okay, I need to find a key point to start my analysis. So we're going to do some long-term charting. So I'm going to go to a log scale of Bitcoin. And I noticed I found something when I looked at the log scale, that there was this point in 2014, or I'm sorry, August of 2015, where Bitcoin was like down, 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 down for an entire year. And then it took off massively. So I'm like, that's an interesting point. So let's go back to regular scale. Let's find August of 2015 and let's do something bold. Let's take live TA to a new level. Let's drop a GAN line, a GAN fan, so you see how it's a group of lines. And then I think what I want to do is I want to take that blue line, which is a 2x1 line, and I just want to literally arbitrarily connect that line to the 2017 high. And I want to see what I get. GAN refers to it as like what line has a vibration that matters. Now, when you do this stuff by hand, which I do, you don't do it this way. But electronically, it gives you a little bit of room to freestyle. So find a point, August 2015. Hit that GAN indicator right up here. And I just dropped the 2x1 line. It's an important line. And so is the 45, this white one. Now, when I hit the 2017 high and I project out, it looks like we got a couple of very interesting overshoots from the top last year. In other words, every time Bitcoin tried to go above this blue line, it failed. And then, of course, there's the two things I can't resist, which is the dip below the COVID line. The bottom line, you had this COVID rally, and then as soon as it popped back through, it just went straight up. In this particular case, right, you had FTX. But FTX didn't take you below the trend line, below the bottom GAN line. It hit it to the number. So I hit a point here and I connected up an important line there. And I got some interesting information about the top. I got some interesting information about when the market broke out last time. And man, am I feeling it. Like I'm feeling this. Okay, so this talks about price. Now I want to try to add time. Okay, so let's try the Fibonacci circles. That's an interesting way to think about time. It's like sonar on a submarine. So that's the COVID bottom. And that's the high from last year, 2021. Okay. And just to let you know what the presets look like, I take these out because I want to look far out into the future. Okay. Now, what I look for from here is an intersection between the GAN lines that talk about price and the Fib timeline, the Fib circles, which are going to represent my guess on time. And I'm going to look for where they intersect. And I came up with this for Bitcoin right there. Okay, so this says in March 13th, or by March, or maybe at the end of March, Bitcoin has a shot of being at 33K. Now, what do you think happens if either in March or in April, keeping in mind between now and April is actually a very bullish period for stocks? What happens if something happens either with the Fed, or they have to calm down, or Bitcoin just corrects itself? I mean, when Bitcoin popped above this line over here back in 2019, if I zoom in on this, I mean, when you got through this bottom GAN line, it was gone, right? And this has got the same flavor, right? The same flavor. So everyone's like, hey, Bitcoin at 33K is pretty bold. Is it? Is it? Or is it just like retracing, like this was May? So, you know, I kind of did okay in YouTube by getting everybody out of the way back before Celsius, when it was sell in May and go away. What happens in 2023 if they unwind, sell in May, and go away in shocking fashion, starting with Bitcoin? I mean, I was on a show today and the guy's like, so what is it about 23K that matters? And I'm like, well, let me tell you what might matter about 23K is the fact that there's a DeMark 13 top in Bitcoin and it's not moving. So there's a key inflection point at 23. There's a top signal here. This candlestick's not that pretty from yesterday. They shot it up and took it back down again. Okay. So why isn't it coming off hard? I mean, it might come off hard, but it's not coming off hard. And when you look over here at this is why. Because when you have this GAN structure and you have this level of depression, okay, you're going to unwind all of this depression and anger. And then, of course, there's the stochastic down here, right? Which, you know, these type of long-term divergences, they don't resolve themselves in 1 week. You had massive new lows in Bitcoin from June through the end of the year. You had higher lows in the 13-week RSI. You know, when you have stuff like this can go on for months. It took 6 months for the thing to turn around. It's the reversal off these powerful signals. They last a lot longer than 3 weeks. So down days may be small and up days may be huge, which is why yesterday on the stream, it was like, hey, if you get red, buy on red. It's not investment advice. It's just advice, or it's an idea about how the chart seems to be working. So if they give you a dip, like, you know, next week, if stuff comes in off the Fed, great. Awesome. Remember, disaster porn is selling. It's selling. 130,000 views about a housing crash in Austin. I live in Austin. People I know live here. I don't want a housing crash here. I mean, prices are so ridiculous you could have one. But if that's what's selling, the positivity trade is coming. Okay, ETH. we're going to do the same exercise, except this one's a little bit easier to see. Okay, we're going to go back to GAN. We're going to find a point, which in this case is easy. It's where ETH started trading in 2016. Okay? We're going to drop a point. And we're going to connect it to the 2017 high, which conveniently also gives you the high from these 2 years. It's interesting, right? If I just connect this and this, it shoots out and shows how this line was resistance, this 2x1 line, right? So let me do it again. I hit this button. I click here. I take the 2x1 line, which is important. I click it there. Now, what do I see? Well, there was a bottom line. It's called the 8x1. And it looks like in 2018, you had this huge winter. So if you were below this bottom fan line, it was winter. But look what happened when you went punching through it. What happens? When you went punching through this, when was this? January of 2021, interesting. You punched through it in January of 2021. You got like 2 or 3 days of consolidation, and then off it went. You had one nasty dip to buy it before it went nuts. Like, I don't know if you can see these candlesticks, and I didn't look at it this closely, but these candlesticks look similar, right? You break the line, you retest the line, you go. You break the line, you retest the line, you go. This is like, you know, my idea, my market view, my chart structures. I'm rolling with it. I'm rolling with it until it doesn't work anymore. Now let's talk about time. Okay. So this is our price structure with the GAN analysis. And now I'm going to put in time. And when I think about time, I always think about last year's bull market from the COVID low to the November 2021 high. Boom. And then I say, where do the lines intersect? Boom. And it looks like in March of 2023, ETH should be at 3,000. And interestingly, ETH should be at 4,000 in January of next year. But I'm wondering if they can do a lot of the unwind of this sooner rather than later. Everybody thinks the SEC is coming for ETH. Really? Okay. You know what? If everybody thinks that, that is the perfect time to take ETH and moon it. Just put everyone to sleep. Let there be a correction off the Fed. Let Jerome Powell go want, like Charlie Brown's teacher. Let him do that. Let him try to stand up on a podium and tell you that whatever he does with interest rates is going to impact the price of eggs. Let him tell you that whatever he does with interest rates is going to have people go from Microsoft to Chick-fil-A. And that's how the labor market is going to solve its problems. If you look at labor market statistics, jobs are getting filled. Jobs that were unfilled are getting filled because people need second jobs to survive. And then if you look at the unemployment claims, people who lose their jobs are staying on unemployment. They can't find new ones. So low-wage jobs are probably being filled by people scrambling to maintain their purchasing power. Crypto forever. And people getting laid off, where do they go? The Wall Street Journal was running some live thing today, which I missed because I was on various shows talking about the carnage in the tech industry. So, you know, whatever Jerome Powell has to say, what everybody thinks the end of ETH and et cetera, whatever. I just don't care. I'm bullish. It's been working. I'm staying with it. You go with the GAN analysis. You look at this and you say, you know what? How amazing would it be if crypto just took off and did exactly the opposite of what it did last year? It went down in a period of weeks. It goes back up in a period of weeks. Is that so ridiculous? I think not. Okay. Dollar Menu says unemployment going down because more people getting jobs is so true. The number of Americans with second jobs was at an all-time high last time I looked at it, and we just reached 100 messages in the chat. Wrong again says Moon ETH. I'm long. CryptoPath is here. Welcome. Wally, welcome. Okay, wrong again says, why the blue GAN line and not the white one? Okay, good question. So the white one is the 45-degree line. That's the one I make a living with on my Twitter, drawing it by hand. With the blue line, when I drew it, right, I said, all right, let's just connect this. So let's draw it again. This is just like seeing what works. Literally, it's like trial and error. It's like, okay, there's a set of GAN angles. Boom. Okay, it gave you the 20, you connect this and this with the 2x1 line, and what does it give you? Well, it was resistance here, resistance there, resistance here. And it was interesting here. In other words, I looked for the chart to tell a story. If this YouTube show has value to you, it's because I try to take charts and numbers and turn them into a story, and I take a story and turn them into charts and numbers. I'm trying to do both. That's why we do news. That's why we do live TA. That's why we take a look at some of the coins people like, because when you have a bottom like this, as I've been saying, not everything rallies all at once. The stuff people hate, which I guess would have been Fantom and Aptos, go up a lot. Optimism, which people did like, smoke tire. Bitcoin, which everybody forgot about, went up 40%, and it can consolidate and go up another 40%. Because there really is no way to buy enough Bitcoin, especially with large amounts of Bitcoin assets tied up in bankruptcy court. Like, does that Bitcoin eventually get liquidated someday? Maybe. But where's the supply in the meantime? Where are the sellers? There are no sellers. Who in their right mind would sell ETH at 1,600? Why? Because it's going to go to 1,450? Okay. I mean, if you're a trader and that's your game, that's cool. But big picture, 1,600 is cheap or is too expensive? I mean, if you draw this on Ethereum, you just go to some basic stuff, right? That's the 2017 high. So let's zoom in on this for just a second, right? This is the 2017 high, and here's Ethereum just coming back above it. Now, of course, ETH tried to come back above the 2017 high multiple times, and everybody got smoked. Hence, the knife experience currently in play. Everybody is afraid that this and this is going to repeat itself. Don't forget this. In technical analysis, things happen in threes. 1, 2, 3. 3 failed rallies, and now on the 4th try, everybody's looking for the same thing. Let me just make sure I label this so you can see it. Let's just sit here and think about this for a second. Everybody is afraid for good reason. But there's also good reason to not be afraid. I saw a BitBoy thing on Instagram where he was talking about the idea of a super cycle, right? And he basically said, and this is why I draw these charts. I was like, okay, he said that by the time it comes to start trading the Bitcoin halving, this market could be back at its all-time high or just below the all-time high. So if the Bitcoin halving trade starts July 2024, in January of 2024, it is completely feasible to have ETH at 4K. And if they can't do this move to 3,000 in the next 2 months, okay. Then, maybe we'll do it by the end of the summer. Maybe this is the intersection point. So maybe it's 4K by, say, December. Maybe it happens sooner rather than later. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. Okay, let's go back over to Bitcoin. Let me see. Oh, I know what I forgot. Cardano. So this is very outside the box. I drew my GAN point from here. All right. And the way I used my 2x1 line is I liked this structure. Whoops. Put the 2x1 line underneath here in March because there was a huge bounce. And then when you failed at that 2x1 line, that's what triggered the despair. And then, of course, there was the bottom right at this bottom 8x1 line. And now this interesting reversal. So this is Cardano weekly. So thank you for everybody who stayed to see Cardano. You thought I was going to miss it, did you? You did. You thought that. Not going to miss Cardano. I think the minimum target for Cardano short term could be 57 cents. The big question in Cardano is, when is it going back to $3? So if you look at the Fibonacci circle analysis that I drew, okay, which I drew them from, I connected this point and this point. Maybe I could draw that for you live. So here's this point and this point right there, right? That makes the circles. So if I had to make a educated estimate as to when Cardano would go back to $3, I would say it would be there by February of 2024. So 1 year to go back to the highs. It's either that or $1.50, because that's another intersecting point right there. Okay. I'm thinking $3 February of next year for Cardano. Let me see if I did the same type of analysis for XRP. I didn't, but I have an idea. So here's a little XRP bonus analysis. Williams Oscillator on XRP weekly hints at a big move. Okay, it was very close to zero, and XRP is just getting going. Now, I like to use a diagonal indicator on TradingView called Fib Speed Resistance. Not to get massively into the weeds, but XRP is doing a very quiet breakout. Okay, it's moving sideways to up when the Williams Oscillator is telling you a big move could be coming. To me, this means XRP can go to probably 65 cents. Okay, this base here looks a lot like this base from back in 2020. Now, because XRP has the litigation thing, the bigger the base, the higher in the space was a little bit more of a zigzag before it took off. This base in XRP is basically telling you that as soon as the regulatory risk is over, in other words, I talked about this on the show today. I think basically, no matter what the outcome is, if somebody can still trade XRP, the need for a payment system, an alternative or a side-by-side payment system to the dollar SWIFT system that doesn't come from the Chinese or the Russians is a good thing. XRP in the mind of the government was when they have to have gone from the bad guy to the good guys. So no matter what the outcome, they're probably going to still be able to function, I think. And like I said earlier, I lost 12 followers when I talked about XRP on my Twitter. Because I don't know, people don't want to hear it, which makes me want to push it harder. Push it, right? Wrong again says XRP haters don't leave. Don't leave. Okay, Reverend Flashback is here. You're not too late. You're not too early. You're right on time. Okay, you are right on time. Okay, let's take a look at AAVE. Let's go to DeMark. Okay. What stops this? Seriously. I mean, it's been dipping and coming back. So when you have a 3, you're probably going to have 9 more up weeks. Next week is probably the dip. But don't underestimate how wild they could get this week. And if there's no dip next week, forget it. I think this is going to 198. It's at 89. No, I'm going to draw these targets until I can't draw these targets anymore, until this doesn't work. Because this was a 13 bottom, right? People are like, oh, this is overdone. Is it? The 13 bottom is here, and it was confirmed the week ending January 9th. So this has only been a confirmed bottom for 2 weeks. And everyone's like, oh, that's it. Okay, time to be short. No. 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 Okay. Absolutely not. Cosmos. Okay, so Cosmos on a daily chart, right? You're going to start seeing this. You may be seeing it in MATIC today. I don't know if we're there yet in Fantom, but this looks like a 13 top. This is the 13 top. This is your blow off top here and here. Okay, now this feels overdone. It just feels like it needs to consolidate, although I don't really see much resistance to do so. So Cosmos is something that people liked. If you're hodling Cosmos, why would you get out? Okay, if you don't have Cosmos, you might get a dip, and you should be advised that nothing outperforms forever. So if Cosmos ripped, and a lot of people like Cosmos, Galaxy Digital, Cosmos at this point, not knocking it. It seems like a no-brainer. I'm interested in Polkadot. Now, here's why. Polkadot had its 13 top, but it didn't have a blow-off top, right? It just kind of rushed up there and came off. Now, this is not a perfect-looking picture. This could come off. I actually hope it does. What I do know is you have these 13 signals on the daily charts of some of these coins. They don't create any meaningful drop next week. In other words, if this is just like sideways, man, when this thing turns around and goes up, it's going to go up hard. So in some ways, if you're bullish, it's a win either way. If it dips, you can get in, right? 13 top gives you like 2 big down days. Oh my God, thank you very much. 13 top doesn't give you a meaningful down trade. Well, then Then you got a situation like what you had with Bitcoin. Okay, MATIC is a similar situation, right? This is the 13 top in MATIC, okay? But again, how high could this go before it stops, right? If you look at MATIC over here, so some of this stuff may be getting stretched out, but on MATIC, on the weekly chart, it can still go 25% higher to $1.38. Now, MATIC is something I'd be willing to rotate out of to get into ETH, because I think this rally in MATIC is just short sellers getting destroyed because they picked on this thing so mercilessly. Sorry. They tried to kill this thing. And now they're washed out and everyone's like, okay, well, what are we going to buy? Well, off a bottom, You know, sometimes you buy high quality Bitcoin and then you buy what everyone hates, like Fantom, like MATIC, like Aptos, right? Right. Brick Dreams is noting that these prices for ETH are only with 14% of the supply staked. Oliver Thomas is here. Welcome. Looking to hit the like button. Okay, somebody asking for render. I think we did it already. But render on the daily chart probably has maybe 3 or 4 more updates. There is resistance here. So when you go from 40 cents to 90 cents, that's like what I would call a re-rating. But again, man, look at this. This is just this gigantic base from when this thing fell out of bed, right? UFO Gaming, Big Rich. Okay. I was actually looking at all this stuff today. I was looking at, you know. Doesn't want to come up here. Let's take a look at UFO. Let's go to an 8-hour chart. Okay. So I was looking at this on a daily. It looks like the ceiling has now become the floor. Again, all this metaverse stuff. Just not in the mood to fight it. You had, you know, high upticks here where you had some brutal failures and declines. You broke above it, and now just put this little arrow on here to make the whole chart. Boom. Somebody was down here waiting to buy it yesterday. And they dip it again, and somebody's still waiting to buy it. You know, you could make a serious argument, right, that this is a double bottom. Upside target would to take this thing all the way back up, take this thing about 30% higher to where the whole give up trade started from in November. I'm sorry. Just don't get in front of these things. Okay, so NAKA. Hit the wrong button. So let's look at NAKA on KuCoin. Okay, up 25% today. So looks like it's going to the moon and beyond. Or is it the bigger the base, the higher in the space? Right? I mean, I think when something's up 25%, I don't necessarily advocate chasing it. Okay. But if you believe in the fundamentals and there's something going on in gaming, my point is that all of these coins are going to go and do that. They're all going to unwind their down trade. Now, are they going to do it tomorrow? I don't know. Are they going to do it by the end of the summer? Probably. Could they do it in February? Could Bitcoin gap to 30K and then have altcoins follow? Yup. No one's talking about 30K Bitcoin. BitBoy is talking about the possibility of a super cycle with the market being near its high way in advance of the Bitcoin halving. It's not a bad idea. Matter of fact, I kind of like it. Right? I mean, this is like bullish until proven wrong. Bullish until proven wrong. Aiken is here. Push it real good. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Okay. James is happy with the show. I'm glad to hear that. FET. Okay, so this is Fetch.ai. Interesting. Okay. Epic rally from 4 cents to 24 cents. The thing that's funny about it is even though this rally has been epically vertical, I still don't have a DeMark 13 top on the daily chart. See if I got one on the 4-hour chart. Okay, so in Fetch.ai on the 4-hour chart, I do have a 13 top. So this 13 top didn't change much, but that 13 top kind of looks like a top, right? In other words, the market's gone straight up, right? And maybe this is unstoppable. Like if you look at a weekly chart, you know, maybe you got one more good week until you get a 9 top. So maybe you got one more good week out of it. Personally, if I made a ton of money in this, I might be inclined to rotate out into something else, right? I might take the money. Because, I mean, when you get that kind of return, I mean, but this bottom, again, was massive, right? 13 bottom, DeMark 0 signal, boom. If it can happen here, it can happen elsewhere in crypto. Okay, Synthetix. Okay, would love to see this do better. It's got to get through $2.50. This is the weekly chart. Looks like a decent looking bottom, but a lot of this stuff from the last cycle has got a lot of work to do to prove itself. In other words, Synthetix is kind of already unwound its give up trade from November. So I like this. I've always liked Synthetix. The question is, can Synthetix take out this point? In other words, the new word, I actually heard it on the show today. It's interesting, is where do you get confirmation? Well, a lot of times by the time you get confirmation, it's already gone. I think in some of these DeFi coins, you do need some confirmation that it wants to take out the previous fourth at 279. Right. If they go up there and they take it out even just a little bit, then you know it's on. Right. And Big Rich says there's no such thing as, you know, proof or confirmed or right. Oliver is saying Injective is mooning. Okay. On Coinbase, it most certainly is. I'm guessing you got 2 more big up days. Let me see if I can pull it up here. Okay, so it's definitely mooning. See if I can calculate any type of resistance. Okay, so I'm going to look for a previous peak like here. Next level in INJ. Like could be $3.11. And there's a really important lesson here as to how this market's been behaving. I've seen this before. So you look at this, and assuming you can draw the right GAN or Fib speed resistance lines, this has been classic, right? There's a big up day. The market goes up, then it comes off, and it doesn't look like it's like, okay, well, sellers took over. Wrong. People sell, they get out, and then somebody else comes in and buys right on top of support, and then boom. Sellers can't hold it down. I mean, what did you get in this? I mean, just let's pretend this is the general market. How many down days did you get? 3. How many down days did you get? 1. How many down days did you get? None. This wasn't even a down day. It was a wick. You imagine what happens if this type of price action permeates ETH, right? It kind of already has. I mean, how many back-to-back down days have you had in ETH? And what happens if they pound on this 1550 level and they can't break it? Then what happens? Big Rich says resistance is futile. Love it. Everybody's looking for where to short the market. No. Not doing it. Not doing it. Okay, so GLMR. 13 bottom was actually back in September. You had just coin death where they just took it all the way down. And the bottom was confirmed the week ending January 16th. Wait, no, that is the wrong pair. This is the right pair. Sorry. Okay, same picture. Actually, it's a little bit better. Okay. There's your 13 bottom. There's your confirmation to 13 bottom on January 9th. And every time it goes up, people sell. So if next week should be the dip, you should be on the 4 count. You should have a dip. If there's a dip next week and this survives, you could be taking like 5 more up weeks. So do you have to FOMO in right this second? Maybe not. Do you have to make sure that if there's a substantial dip in this market that you've got both the psychological and financial capacity to take advantage of it? For the moment, yes. That's my opinion. Okay, Ocean, probably one more up week. Again, there's the 13 bottom, the DeMark 5-wave signal. Every DeMark bottom signal you could have, you actually had it in November. So the only question is in Ocean, can you get a parabolic ending to the move? In other words, are you going to get 1 or 2 more really big up days? That's possible, right? 45 cents, that can happen. On the weekly chart, 60 cents can happen. Now, you're going to have 1 more big week based on this. You're at a DeMark 8. You can go to a DeMark 9 before you have to worry about any type of substantial pullback. Look, man, if there are objects in motion, there are down days. Like there was a down day today in optimism, right? Don't get optimism here. Big Rich says dip with the Fed makes sense. Waiting for the dip makes sense. Mr. Moby Dick wants a flippening. Don't laugh, man. Bitcoin goes to 33K. ETH could go with it. Like ETH could be next to like do a major move up. Okay, GoldMaxCoin not seeing a lot here. Not seeing a love here. Fomatoshi Mojo possibly winning the best name of the day category. Okay. All right. Resistance is futile. Okay, let's wrap it up. Bullish until further notice. Dips next week makes sense. Be ready for it. One thing you can be ready for is possibly parabolic upside before anything cracks. Now, Bitcoin and Ethereum may sit. Great. Let them sit. based on the analysis that we did, having them perched Ethereum on support 1550 to 1600 is just fine with me. Just fine. And the trading types are all going to be looking to buy dips, mainly because there's no sellers in the market. There's just no sellers in the market. I'm Bill Noble. I will see you tomorrow.